to the Tuesday night Principled Chiro broadcast. I'm your MC, Dr. Brian Moriarty, for tonight's exciting call with Dr. Jim Olszewski, I think. That's a tough one to pronounce, but we'll get to that. But before we get to that, guys, welcome. Hope everybody's having a blessed Tuesday night. We've got to talk about DE in Sarasota. Whoa, actually in Clearwater now. DE Clearwater, we're going to call it. April 15th through the 18th. Dates are the same. Take a look at that hotel there, guys, in that overlay here. Spring DE, the Clearwater Beach Marriott Sand Key. If you look directly down from that hotel on the overlay, you see water, okay? If you look behind the hotel where those two towers are, you see water. You've got the Gulf of Mexico behind you there, where those two towers are. You got the bay right in front. And everybody's got this unbelievable bay view, pool view. There's no bad views anywhere in those hotels because the rooms are only one deep. So basically, your front door, you're going to see the Gulf in the distance. Your back door, you're going to see the bay, the pool. Unbelievable views from this hotel. So I want you guys to really, really, really get on this and let's get signed up and get a huge crowd for Spring DE, Sarasota DE, Clearwater DE, whatever the hell we're going to call it. But it's going to be DE, which is the main thing. You know, it's going to be great. We had the Florida Chiropractic Society had our Tampa conference there in November, and I can tell you that first of all the staff was first rate. They were very gracious about everything in the meeting rooms. We didn't have to have masks on. They were really cool about the hotel, and it's a spectacular property. I mean, we were thinking of it at the time. We said, boy, if the Hyatt gives us a hard time, we've got a great out right here. And this property, I think, is phenomenal. So all the FCS people have been there. I can tell you the rooms are spectacular. They're all suites. Remember the Embassy Suites in Atlanta? It's like that all over again. You got a pull-out couch. You got two doubles. You can fit 6 people in a room easily. So nice bathroom, nice square footage. So you have a nice spacious suite there. We got great pricing because of Kat. She's awesome. Getting those prices ironed down. It's going to include your meals with it. So that you get that nice breakfast every morning. That's always nice to wake up to. And then there's an unbelievable pool. We got a waterfall there. I think I saw a basketball hoop. Like I said, it's right on the bay. Right next door, you basically walk out of the pool area, and there's a little gate you just open, and you're at the Columbia restaurant. So if anybody loves the Columbia restaurant, they have them all over Florida. They have them thanks to Araceli for funding hotel and getting prices. Yeah, thanks, Araceli. That's great. Thanks, God. Yeah, the Columbia is right next door. Way more important, okay, than who found the hotel. You basically go through a gate at the pool, and you're in the Columbia, and you're having the sangria and the 1905 salad. And I know in St. Ormond Circle in Sarasota, everybody loves the Columbia. This is walking distance, like literally like 2 steps out of the hotel, and you're in the Columbia. It's adjoined to the pool area. And then, you know, you've got downtown Clearwater is less than a mile away if you want to go out on the town. There's a lot of great nightlife there. This is going to be a great DE, guys. I'm telling you, this is just like God blessing us with an amazing weekend. So get your plans there, April 15th through the 18th. Register. The links are up. They are, for the most part, working. As long as you have 3 or more people in your party, go right on there right now. You can book the hotel room right now. If you have 1 or 2 people in your party and you go in the links, they're having some issues that will be fixed most likely by tomorrow. So if you go on there and you got 1 or 2 people, don't get frustrated. Just check back tomorrow. It should be fine. But let's get signed up there for DE, our spring DE. I'm excited. I can't wait to see you all there. I'm bringing my whole team. My associates, my staff, my family. I'm bringing everybody down there. This is a great vacation. You're going to want to bring everybody to this DE. So if you have any questions, reach out to Kat. She's got some great knowledge on there. Or me, Eddie Araceli, I'm sure could help you and tell you how great it is if you're looking for that. Anyway, so let's move on with the program here tonight for the Tuesday night Principal Chiro broadcast. We're gonna bring in a speaker. I think he's making his debut on our Tuesday night call. He's been coming to DE forever. He told me about 13 years. He was exposed to it even longer. He's a 1997 graduate of Life University. And, maybe he's one of the more quieter guys in the back of the room. But, sometimes when you get guys like that, my dad was a quiet guy in the back of the room, and I thought he was pretty amazing. And I think this guy's pretty amazing, and he's gonna drop some gems on us tonight. And I can't wait to hear his story, and probably one of the, harder last names to pronounce on the Tuesday night call. It's got like 6 consonants in a row, but I'm going to try my best to introduce from Huntsville, Alabama. Give it up for Dr. Jim Olszewski.
Rock and roll. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate that intro, brother. First of all, I want to share with my my DE family, and I say that with all due respect from my heart. I know some of you guys don't know me. Maybe I'm sort of an enigma to the DE crowd, but yeah, I've been coming there for 13 years. My wife has been there a lot all the time. My associate doctors, and the reason why I'm speaking tonight is because Andy Harding, who I have a lot of respect for and I love like a brother, him and I had a chance to sit down at the last DE. We were sitting down at the breakfast, and I just started sharing with Andy about how God, brought me to DE and brought me into chiropractic. But I really want to appreciate, and I want to thank Andy for just for encouraging me to do this. Brother, I tell you what, thank you, Andy. I really do from the bottom of my heart. But I have a beautiful wife, Christy, and we have 7 children, ages 30 down to 6. Max was being our youngest one. I'm proud to say that our son Spencer, oldest son, is just opening up his chiropractic practice in Tennessee. He graduated from Sherman about 3 months ago, and our middle son Malachi is just in his 2nd or 3rd quarter at life. So we got two coming up the rear. And to be honest with you, it's quite an honor because I never imagined these kids would want to follow after their pops, but I'll share with you later about what Malachi wrote. He had to write something for school as to why he became a chiropractor. Well, it wasn't because of me, I can tell you that. But I'm a hard guy to get along with sometimes. I'm from New York. I'm big, I'm obnoxious, and I'm a Polak. So sometimes I'm not the easiest guy to get along with. And Brian, you're right. In the back, I'm kind of quiet. There's no doubt about it. But in my office, I'm as big as life. I represent life, represent the giver of life, my Father in heaven. And so it's an honor and a privilege to be here tonight and just speaking to all my brothers and sisters in DE. But, it's funny because, I got this whole thing started. Most of you guys know who Dr. Brad Pisa is. And, I got out of life in 1997. I entered into Pisa. He calls it Pisa boot camp. And I'm not going to lie, I was on my knees within the first couple of weeks crying my eyes out. He was tough on me, probably one of the toughest guys has ever been on me. But he certainly, listen, I'm the chiropractor I am today because of Brad Pisa. We had a nasty divorce. His wife kicked me out of the office one day. I never forget. It was a Monday morning. My wife and I, we just bought a brand new home in Ackworth. Our kids had gone they were entered into a new school. And here I am 2 years in to work for Brad. And I walked in one day, and he simply asked me a question. He goes, "Are the anchor in are you wind in my sail, or the anchor in my tail?" I said, "Brad, I'm not so sure what I am, in this office." He goes, "If you're not sure," he goes, get your ass out of here." And literally, he kicked me out of his office 2 years after being with him. And honestly, that was probably the best thing that ever could have happened to me. At that time, I was angry, I was upset, I was pissed off. Man, I was fearful. Back then I was living my life in fear. I sucked as a chiropractor. I was afraid to do doctor's reports. Heck, I would lie to Pisa just to get out of doing a screening. I'll never forget my first doctor's report. Like all kidding aside, I was in his office down in Hayfield, and he had 5 new patients sitting there. He goes, "All right, you're on, Polak." And I get out there. Within 3 or 4 minutes, I had nothing else to say. I mean, my mind was blank. I think I was crapping my pants. I turned around, I walked into his office and said, "Dr. Pease, I can't do this. Now, listen, guys, I don't curse, but you all know that Dr. Pisa does curse. And I can tell you in about 20 or 30 words, he told me to get my F and A back out there and finish the F and doctor's report. And I did. And sadly enough, it took me another 5 minutes and no one signed on for care that night. So that was my first doctor's report. And then a month later, here I am. I got my license now, right? Just got my Georgia license before they offered Part 4. And this is 1998. I think it was maybe February. And I'm in his hateful office. And he says, okay, it's time for your first adjustment. You got your license? He goes, here you go. So I walked into a room and I adjusted. This is my first adjustment. So check this out. Thank God I had malpractice too, by the way. My first adjustment, I adjusted this one woman, this patient of his, and I heard this big thunk, like this, this big thunk around her rib area. And I thought for a second, like this is my first one, so I had no idea what I was feeling or what I was thinking. But I thought that didn't sound right. It didn't sound like the adjustments I did back in clinic as a student. But needless to say, the next day I walked back into his office, and sure enough, on his X-ray view board, this is the olden days before we had digital. He had this woman's film up on the board, and he had written in the old wax, the red wax markers. He goes, "Polak, come see me." Well, the X-ray was taken at the local ER. So lo and behold, my first adjustment, this woman thought I cracked one of her ribs. Thank God I didn't. But that was my first experience with chiropractic as far as chiropractic adjustment. And it's safe to say, 25 years later, I haven't hurt anybody. At least I haven't had, not that I know of. But but Brad Pisa introduced me to my first DE. Gosh, I'd say it's probably maybe 1998 or 1999. He says, you need to go to DE. I don't want to go. Well, you need to go. So he dragged my ass there, and honestly, I've heard this before. I've heard other speakers get up and say the same thing, but I thought they were a bunch of wackos. Couldn't figure it out. Again, back then, I had a bad attitude. I did. I was a bad chiropractor. I sucked. I really did. Even Brad, called me out. He says, "You got a poverty mentality." I grew up in a good home, upstate New York, good parents, but there's no vision, there's no dreams, there's no goals in life. And so I was clueless coming out of school. I was. Pisa did everything he could to try to talk some sense into me, try to talk confidence into me, try to get my butt fired up. And I just refused to listen. And went to DE, and frankly speaking, I didn't care much. I didn't care much for DE. I didn't. And I went one time, and it was at the Waverly, the one we just had it at, and didn't care much for it, and didn't go back. But it's funny, when Pisa kicked me out of the office, it was the best thing that ever could have happened to me. It's funny how God works, because he always knows what's best, regardless of what we think or feel, what we're going through. He knows what's best. And he knew that I needed a kick in the rear end to understand and appreciate what chiropractic meant to me, what the chiropractic principle meant to me, my wife, and at the time, our 4 children. And so, funny thing is, at that time they had offered Part 4, and I figured I might as well just take Part 4 and let the chips fall where they may. And I took Part 4, and I actually interviewed for a job over the phone for an office in Kentucky. And sure enough, I got accepted, right? But as soon as I got there, I realized I got I'm in the wrong place. I walked in there, there's a PI practice. They didn't let me see families. I couldn't see moms and dads. I couldn't see kids. It was PI practice. I walked myself in from the frying pan into the fire. And for 2 months, I probably cried every night. I was staying in an extended stay hotel in Lexington, Kentucky. My wife was stuck in Atlanta or Marietta or Acworth, trying to sell her home with our 4 kids, and I was just miserable. I'm telling you, I was miserable. Couldn't stand life, hated chiropractic. I asked God, like, what the heck did I get myself into? And so I just got my hands on my knees, and I just said, Lord, I need some help here. I need a breakthrough. And it was a Wednesday night. I'd say probably, maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. I just started calling churches. I thought, who's going to answer at 10 o'clock at night? I got to the 5th church, and some guy answered the phone. It happened to be the pastor, which is kind of odd because not many pastors answer the phone, let alone at 10 o'clock at night. And I says, I'm a chiropractor. My wife's back in Atlanta, and I'm miserable, and I need some help. He goes, I'm going to call someone. Don't move. And I got a phone call 5 minutes later from a guy by the name of Mark Miller. And I don't know if any of you guys on this call graduated from Palmer. He's a Palmer grad. I guess they called him Mad Dog Mark. Either way, he says, pack your bags. He goes, you're coming to my house. So we stayed up till 5 o'clock in the morning in Mark Miller's house talking about a vision that he had for chiropractic in Brazil. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I got nothing to lose right now. I failed in chiropractic. I'm in a situation where for some reason I got myself into, and I don't know if I can get out of it. But this whole idea of chiropractic in Brazil is kind of intriguing to me. When you watch those travel channels, you see those beaches of Brazil, those beautiful women and those beautiful beaches. And I thought, man, this is I could do this. And I asked him, well, where in Brazil is it? He goes, well, it's that place up there in the middle of the map called Manaus. I said, where's Manaus? He goes, it's right in the middle of the rainforest. But Mark had been taking students down there for years, doing short-term mission trips, and he saw a need for chiropractic, but he just felt that he felt that it wasn't a time for him to do it, so maybe he could get me to I was a sucker, and I would do it. Well, listen, I had nothing to lose. My wife and we had nothing to lose. It didn't require much time, much prayer, but I would say within 3 or 4 months, my bags were packed, and we were heading down to Brazil. My wife and our 4 kids, and we didn't speak the language. We had no idea what we were doing. We sold all our possessions. I'll never forget. We were selling our possessions just to get down there. Right, we were going to pay for our tickets and whatever belongings we needed down there. And I'll never forget. Like, here we are at this church selling all of our stuff, and people are saying, "Well, listen, hey, would you take $50 for that couch instead of $100?" They had no idea that they were negotiating the things that we had just to get down to Brazil. So that was discouraging enough. And then we get to Brazil and we had no idea what we were doing. It's really funny that when you have no clue, when you have no clue in life, that's the best place you need to be. That's the best place God can have you, is when you've got no clue in life. It's when you think you know what you're doing, that's what gets yourself in trouble. But we hit the ground in probably June 2001, I think. And at that time, there's actually no chiropractors in Manaus, a city about maybe 2.5, 3 million people. And so within 2 weeks, guess what? We were up and running. The first chiropractic clinic in all of northern Brazil, run by this 6'5", big, tall, white Polak. You guys, you understand what I'm saying? Manaus is a city in the middle of the rainforest. Most of the people who live in Manaus, they're short, they're dark skinned. So I was almost like a god to them. But that thus started our chiropractic story in Brazil. And for the next 6.5 years, amazing things happened. But I was still living in fear, though. Again, Brad did everything he could to help me understand the fear I was living under, but I didn't want to listen to him. I was stubborn. In 2 months into our experience in Brazil, I get a phone call from a family saying, listen, can you help our son, Jusimar? So what's going on? Well, he fell out of a tree trying to get some fruit, and he broke his back. And listen, he's paralyzed, and he can't move. So I hopped on a bus that night, and I went to Jusimar's house. And, you got to think, in the back of your mind, you're thinking, boy, what did I teach you in school? Well, we know what they teach you in school. It's all crap, okay? It's bull crap. Listen, if there's any students on this call, listen, what you learn, the best thing you need to do is when you get out of school is forget it. Anatomy, physiology, it's bull crap. There's nothing in the real world. Here I am looking at this kid. So Jusimar, I get to his house, and the kid's he's laying face down in the bed. He hasn't moved in a whole month. The kid fell out of a tree about a month and a half earlier. He fractured, I think it was maybe T9, T10. So he's paralyzed from that point down. And so the doctors are telling him, listen, if you move, Jusimar, you're going to die. So literally this kid and his mom and dad are thinking, if I move this kid, if we move our son, he's going to die. So here I am, a chiropractor, right? What do you do as a chiropractor? Well, we lay hands on people. That's what we do. We lay hands on people. The rest is up to God. Our goal is to lay hands on people. That's our number one objective. And I was sitting there, I prayed for it. I said, God, you got to guide me in this. In school, they taught us, not to mess with this kind of stuff. So you know what God said? He said, Jim, he goes, I didn't bring you all this way, you and your family and your wife and your kids, for you to walk in fear. It's time that you stop walking in fear. I want you to lay hands on this young man, and I want you to adjust him. I want you to use the gift that that I've given you and adjust him. Well, first things first, I told him to sit up, right? Now, obviously, this kid, and he's paralyzed from the mid-chest down, but the parents literally thought if this kid moved, he was going to die. So the fact of me getting him sitting up in the bed alone, they thought it was a miracle in itself. They were hugging me and kissing me. But then I had to adjust him. And I'm not going to lie to you. I got nothing to lose, right? There's no malpractice in Brazil. I had no look at. There was an MRI, and sure enough, yeah, he definitely he had an issue at T9, T10, like a compression fracture. And you could see that he was all messed up. And at that time, 6 weeks after the injury, he had this big old knotted ball of tissue and whatever else was going on. And I'm like, hey, I got nothing to lose, right? If I just and he dies on me, number one, I can't get sued. Number two, well, they don't even know my name or where I live, and I didn't have a phone number. So I figured, what's the worst case scenario? Well, I adjusted this kid, and I adjusted him right over the fracture site. All kidding aside, I adjusted him right over the fracture site. Did an anterior on him. I wish I could tell you that after that adjustment, or after multiple adjustments that I performed in that kid's spine over the next 6 or 7 months, that Jusamar was able to walk again. The reality is he never ever walked again. But you know what? The simple act of me walking into that room and laying hands on that young man brought him hope, brought his family hope, and it literally transformed that man's life. I had a chance to be part of his life for about 4 or 5 years, and he went from a kid falling out of a tree, breaking his back, paralyzed from the chest down, to actually getting a wheelchair and working at a local restaurant, providing for his wife and his son. That's just the beginning of what chiropractic did for me in Brazil. And I say me because I'm going to sound a little selfish here just for a second. I thought I was going down to Brazil to transform their lives. They transformed my life. They transformed my heart. When this COVID thing hit back in March, you guys can check out, you can check out our Facebook. I don't, it's funny, Kat asked me about Facebook or if I had some, listen, I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on social media. I'm not Instagram. I don't tweet. I don't Twitter. I don't do any of that stuff, right? So my team takes care of our Facebook. But if you go to our Facebook page and you kind of go back to maybe in mid-March, I was sitting on the back property and next to our pond. I was sharing in front of the camera about this whole COVID crap. When you spend 6 years in Brazil and you're adjusting a kid, right, at a fracture site, and you're laying hands on lepers, you would think here in America, that doesn't even exist anymore. Yeah, leprosy does exist in other countries, sadly enough. But I had a chance to go out to leper colonies once every 6 months. I would go into churches, and sadly in Brazil, because of transportation issues and money issues and all sorts of garbage, and I don't want to get into tonight. There's always there's church, because of how difficult it is to get to the main church. They scatter and have all these churches out throughout the whole entire city. And what happened is people come to find out that chiropractic was a pretty cool thing in Brazil, in Manaus. And they started to ask me, these pastors started to ask me, can you come to my church and can you do a free clinic for the local people in the neighborhood? And I would go to these churches on Saturdays. My wife and I and our kids would go. We show up around 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd get there and be hundreds of people lined up already to see what's just a great American doctor, right? The chiropractor, the big American God, so to speak. And I would lay my hands on as many people as I could. Guys, we're talking about 95-degree weather. There's no central AC in Manaus. I put a fan in front of me, a towel around my head and my neck, and I would just lay hands on as many people as I could, adjust as many as I could. And I did that for about 6 months. And the thing is, I didn't. Okay, well, so this is pretty cool, right? I'm adjusting these folks, and They're learning about chiropractic, and they get to hear the gospel, and some of them are giving their lives to Christ, which is something that was more important to me than anything. And then all of a sudden, one of these clinics that I was doing one day, the pastor goes, Jim, he goes, do you have any idea? Do you have any idea who's coming to these clinics? I said, yeah, I mean, from what I understand, it's just neighborhood people. He goes, no. He goes, it's not difficult to get the neighborhood people in here. We can do that pretty easily. We've been doing that for years. But that guy over there, he's a convicted murderer. And that woman over there, she's a prostitute. And I'm pretty sure the guy you just prayed over and adjusted, he's a drug dealer. And I guess it didn't hit me what chiropractic really was doing for me at that moment. You see, chiropractic was bringing people into the church that never ever would have walked into that place. It was also changing my heart. The fear, the anger, the piss poor attitude that I had at life. Guys, I'm ashamed to admit, I'm ashamed to admit this. My attitude was so bad at life. Guess what? The day of my graduation, I took a shift. If you guys remember back then, there was a Red Lobster in front of Life College. And I worked at that Red Lobster all through school just to help pay bills. The day of my graduation, I actually worked at Red Lobster. I actually took care of some of my classmates that came in after the graduation. I actually was waiting on them. That's how bad my attitude was. That's how much anger I had in my heart. But see, being in Brazil, it changed that, and it transformed me as a man and as a chiropractor. Because I saw things in Brazil you'll never ever see here. But want to know why? Because we're under this legalistic system, right? That you can't, as a chiropractor, you can't do this and you can't see that patient. If you do, be careful. Malpractice this and malpractice that, and COVID this and COVID. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of it. If you go back to that video I was telling about, the thing that stood out to me in Brazil, taking care of leprosy and taking care of, I laid hands on so many cripples, so many wheelchair-bound people. I adjusted so many fractures. I adjusted segments and bones and misalignments that we would never ever touch here in America, most likely. And what was awesome about that is that it has nothing to do with me. The healing power comes from God. It's above, down, inside out. I know what that means. I don't need to go to DE to understand what above, down, inside out means. Well, the power that makes the body heals the body. It was God using me to heal those people. But I also knew that chiropractic was powerful. I knew that chiropractic was an amazing tool that God had gifted me with. So this past March, I'm sharing on this video I don't do any videos. I mean, I need to do more videos, but I don't do them, and I need to do them. But I did a video, and I shared with the community, my patients, that Jesus said, lay hands on the sick, for goodness sakes. Lay hands on the sick. And guess what? They're going to recover. You got to believe it. I believed it in Brazil. There's no insurance. There's no computer programs, and you didn't have to worry about DE or CE. I mean, all that was out the window. Brazil was pure, unadulterated chiropractic. I'm sure the way that BJ originally envisioned it, and probably Sid's dream, was for this pure chiropractic. It's hard to do pure chiropractic in America. It really is. It's easy to do it in Brazil. And it was pure. It was wholesome. And it changed my life. And you know what? I went from this scared, terrified, fearful chiropractor into this powerful, like God-loving, chiropractic-loving chiropractor, DC. I came back to America and I was on fire. I was. Now, I came back to America in 2007 knowing that I needed to get reconnected. And that's why I was telling Brian, I've been going to DE since 2007. Now, for you guys who don't know me that well, and maybe you think of me as almost as an enigma, I am a quiet guy in the back. I am. I'm not quiet in my office. I speak truth into my patients. I love my patients. I pray for my patients. I hug my patients. We do everything we can to speak life into them. But I am a quiet guy in the back. I am. Because my dad always taught me that humility and being humble is the most important trait that I could have. My dad, him and I come from a very proud, prideful, stubborn, loud, obnoxious Polish family. And I was very destructive for many, many years early on in my life. Very destructive. And I didn't have a heart of love. I had a heart of stone. And I think Brad Pisa he saw that in me. He did everything he could to try to help me change that. But I was just, I was too afraid. I was. But Brazil changed that. And coming back, I just had this love just to kind of give it back. And so, I go to DE, guys. Listen, as much as I love you guys, I am my own man. I'm a man after God's own heart. I allow God to lead me and guide me and speak to me. And so, I go to DE every January. I bring my wife, my team, my associates. Every once in a while, you might see me come in, maybe sneak in an October meeting. I was telling Brian, I haven't been to a Sarasota meeting yet. Guys, it's not that I don't love DE to go there 4 times a year, but I'm a family man. Again, having 7 kids, 3 grandkids, 1 on the way. I spend a lot of time with my family, and so I don't travel that much. So I don't want anyone to think that I'm just some kind of idiot in the back who doesn't want to take the time to get to know you guys. I honestly, it's because I want to stay as humble as I can. In 2013, it was 2007. We came back in 2013. I had the best year of my chiropractic profession. It was incredible. Broke all kinds of records, man. I tell you what, the money was flowing. It was also my most miserable year. Even compared to those first 2 years of Pisa, is my most. I lost my teammates, my kids. Well, my kids, they saw a different dad. My wife saw a different husband. I was chasing someone else's dream. I was chasing numbers. I was chasing, that 1,000 patient a week mark and all the glory that comes along with it. And God humbled me. Because at the end of that year, no matter how good the numbers were, I was on my knees begging for God to restore my marriage, restore my relationship with my children, restore my love for chiropractic, not for all the glory that comes along with chiropractic. So I'm not one that you're going to find up there on the stage, pounding my chest or telling you how great. Listen, life is good. Life is good. It is. As a chiropractor, life is amazing. You guys understand. You're chiropractors, right? No vaccines, no doctor visits, no health insurance. I'm a rebel at heart. I am. I love it. For many, many years coming back from Brazil, you guys were family to me, and you still are. You always will be. For many years, I coached from 2007 to probably 2015. I coached, and I got sick and tired of it. I did, because again, it wasn't me. It wasn't Jim Olszewski. In the last 5 years since I stopped coaching, this is the most freedom I've had in chiropractic. And we've seen more miracles in this office than I've ever seen ever before in my life. And so, I don't know. And at the end, I don't know what this means to anyone listening. Again, I think it's amazing. You guys give me a chance to speak. But again, I want to be as humble as I can to my profession, to you guys, my brothers and sisters, especially to my wife, to my kids, and to my God. But I want to close by reading this because it's funny. You never know how much what you say, how far in reaching it's going to go. But this is from my son, Malachi. Again, he's in second quarter. And so they asked my son back in September, why do you want to be a chiropractor? So I don't know who Dr. Andrews is, but I guess he's a guy on campus. Says, Dr. Andrews, I grew up in a chiropractic home, my dad being a chiropractor. It has been a foundation for ever since it has been a foundation forever. Since I received my first adjustment coming out of the womb, I have faith in my body's innate ability to heal itself and know how much a single adjustment can change the body's function, even at a cellular level. I actually did not want to be a chiropractor all the way up until my junior year of high school. I knew I wanted to have a biology career, but soon realized that sitting in a lab doing research is not for me. My dad owns his practice, and many times he brought his work home and the stresses of his job. Guys, did you hear what I just said? If you're a chiropractor and you have a child, don't make the same mistakes that I did. Let me read that again. My dad owns his practice, and many times he brought his work home and the stresses of the job. Guys, we're chiropractors. We're blessed. He goes on to say, with my mom, practice manager, your conversations would bore me and get so repetitive it drove me crazy. However, what changed for me is how I saw my dad and my mom impact people's lives physically, emotionally, and spiritually. How all those conversations at home and the stress of running a small business are worth it if you impact people's everyday lives for eternity. I'm thankful for my parents and how they have modeled me not to be a chiropractor, but to stand above the rest in this society. That is why I want to be a chiropractor, because I want to stand above the rest for the glory of God on this earth. So that was my son, Malachi. Let me just say this. Let me wrap this up. Love for the sake of loving. Give for the sake of giving. Listen, out of your abundance, because we're all living in abundance. But also do it when there is no abundance. And I'm so grateful that I have two sons who are going to be chiropractors. Not because of me, because what chiropractic and God has done in the lives of the thousands of people, the tens of thousands of people, both here in Brazil, have had the touch. So guys, I love you and I appreciate you. This meant the world for me tonight to be able to just share my heart with you guys. You guys have an amazing, blessed week. And I love you guys. Thank you.
Jim, that was awesome, brother.
Thanks, Brian.
Not see that coming from you. What a tale all over the world. Some incredible life lessons there. I really enjoyed that call, man. You really just delivered your heart and soul into that, and it's great to hear how God is blessing you in your life, my man. So thank you for sharing tonight.
Thanks, brother.
That wraps it up tonight, guys, for the Tuesday night Principled Chiro broadcast. Thanks to Jim Olszewski for being our guest tonight. We'll see you guys next Tuesday night. Take care.